Hello guys, welcome back to SWS Boxing. Delighted to get on Ramez Mahmood, and we're here for a prediction video, and it's the big one this weekend between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, or Usyk Fury. I don't know what round people are saying it, but yes, for all of the marbles basically. But yeah, and we're here for the whole card prediction. And yes, Ramez, thank you for coming on as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always good to be on your channel, Sam.
I appreciate your time as always. Yeah, so the first fight, which this isn't the running order, it's just what's on box rec. But yeah,
There you go.
David Nika, however you say it. I think it's Nika. We'll go on that. Who's 8-0 with 7 KOs against Michael Sets, who's 12-0. So unbeaten v unbeaten sort of fight. And this is 8 rounds in the cruiserweight division. Of course, Nika's got these 7 knockouts, and I think he's beginning to like appear on more of these matchroom shows. I believe he was on the Opetaya Jordan Thompson card. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but I've definitely watched him a few times, and overall I've been quite impressed with him. I don't know too much about this Michael Sets. I know he's won a belt though, apparently. I've seen on his Instagram the other day. I think it was some IBO international sort of title. So he is a good, and it's a good little step up for him, but when you haven't seen these overseas fighters, and it's their first time, getting shown to the world sort of thing. I'm not overly too sure about this Sets, but he is unbeaten, so I'm expecting it to be a very tough fight for David Nika, but I can imagine that David Nika should be too much for him and, get another stoppage, because he seems like a bit of a knockout artist with the 7. Yes, it's a bit of a step up, but I think, as they come to fight, the more likely you get a knockout as well. So I'm gonna say maybe David Nika round. I'll go round 4. It's an 8-round fight. I'll go round 4 for David Nika. Again, not too sure about the opponent, but I think he's tough.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I've not seen anything of the other guy. I've seen David Nyko once, and I think that was on one of the UK shows that you'd mentioned. Can't remember exactly which one it was.
Yeah.
Um, but I would imagine he's a favorite. I haven't really seen a lot of the other ones, so it's hard to make a solid prediction. But I'd go with Nike on that one.
Yeah, maybe you would favour a KO, sort of thing.
Yeah, both do come across as punches, so I think the stoppage on the cards for this one, so it's a good one to open up on night.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Another decent fight between 9-0 Daniel Lapin, who trains alongside Usyk. So
Yeah,
and I've seen Lapin box on Usyk Dubois and Usyk AJ. I think it was both times, or at least on one of the Usyk AJ cards. Can't remember which one. But yeah, he's got an opponent who's 9-1. Again, don't know too much about him, but I've been quite what I've seen of Lapin. He's very good, and he's a strong puncher. But yeah, it's. I mean, he's got the 3 knockouts, but he sets his shots up well. He is a good fighter. Again, don't know too much about this Octavio. But yeah, it's a bit of and it's for the WBA Intercontinental light heavyweight title. So I can imagine Lapin should pick up his first belt, and of course, it's a big night for him and Usyk, of course. And well, fingers crossed for him that he'll be sat there with a belt whilst he's a belt on his shoulder whilst he's supporting Usyk, sort of thing. So it's a big night, but he won't be, in Usyk's camp sort of thing if he's not a good fighter. And what
that's
I've seen of him, he's quite good. So I do expect Lapin to win quite comfortably. But again, for Octavio, he might not get another shot at this sort of stage again. So again, you're going to be expecting the best from each fighter on the card, because this, especially some of the fighters we haven't seen before, this is a possibility to change their career around. And so same with the home fighters that we know of. They can, sort of a winner stays on sort of thing. But I do favour Lapin to do the business on a wide unanimous decision, as it's over 10 rounds.
Yeah, I agree with that. He said Lapin comes out of the Usyk camp, probably comes through the amateur system as well, where as you mentioned, sets up his shot, their shots well, unbelievable footwork. Um, I think is a perfect test for Lapin, but one day he should come through and set himself up for bigger fights. As you mentioned, you got a belt in the line as well that sets you up in the ranking systems, and from there he can keep pushing on. So I'm going to go with Lapin on points in that one.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so as well, mate. Next up, somebody we know quite well. I think he does. Moses train with Ben, does he? Or
Yeah, Moses trains with Ben now. He always joined Ben, so I saw Moses in the gym a few times, but that was before he was with Ben. But he would come down and spar a few times. But he's actually training with Ben now. That's a perfect sort of partnership. Moses comes across as someone who really studies the game. I've seen Francis Warren describe him as a sponge, and with someone like Ben Davison around you, he's gonna give you a lot of information to digest. But it's useful information, and if Moses takes that on board and applies it, he's gonna do very well. So yeah, it's good to have him on hand for his first belt.
yeah, fighting for the WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight title, which I believe was the one Parker fought Wilder for. I believe so. Parker vacated that, so he gets Moses a brilliant ranking in the world. We've seen him knocking everyone out. Uh, he's a bit of a beast, bit of an avoided fighter. I think he's past that British level already. And he's got this Ilija Machevi. Again, probably said his name wrong, but I do try my best. Yes, the guy's 25-3 with the 21 knockouts. He's from Germany. We've got a few German fighters on the card, which is quite good. Um, but yeah, the sort of this Illager guy, probably the biggest name he's fought is Tom Swartz, who he lost to both times. Of course, we only really know Tom Swartz when he fought Fury,
Yeah,
sort of thing, and he got stopped in round 7 and 6 in both. And then other than that, I mean, his last 5, 6 fights have been scheduled for 6 rounds. Um, and yeah, he lost. No, so he's coming off a TKO win. Is Ilja in round 2 against the journeyman, and he lost his fight before that. So I mean, he had the 3 fights last year, but you do expect. I don't like saying it's a padded record, but if you look at the guys he's faced, every time he steps up, he gets beat. And, he's against Moses, who everyone is saying he's the next youngest world heavyweight champion, which I believe, I mean, picking up this belt's good, but I'm not too sure on what to expect from the opponent. Yes, I think it will be his hardest challenge to date. Well, fingers crossed. But I think it will be another early night's work for Moses Atuma. He gets to his opponent quick. He doesn't really give his opponent time to breathe, sort of thing. And I'm sure the best of Moses is still to come. And as the opponents, get better and better, I think that's where we're gonna see to see where he really is at. I think he'll win this one quite early, as I said a minute ago, and I imagine you're sitting around the sort of same lines because,
yeah,
but yeah, I'm saying I would say the fight's done in the first 3 rounds for Moses Atuma. He might drop him once, the opponent might get up, and then he just won't let him off the hook and finish it in three
yeah,
rounds. I'm saying.
yeah. I think I can agree with that. As you said, you don't know what you're gonna get from those boys because sometimes it can be a padded record. Sometimes it might have something about them. I think when you got a winning record, you do come to win, which is a positive because it gives Moses something to think about. But Moses has a style where if you really come to put it on him, it'll count you and pick you to pieces. I think if Moses was to box those traditional journeymen, so to speak, he wouldn't look as good because they're there to cover up. I think if you take it to Moses, um, it'll count punch you to pieces. I think this is what's going to happen in this fight here. So yeah, I'd go. I think it'll be a stoppage, but around about round 4ish, around about that mark. Gets him
Yeah,
a good ranking with the WBO, and if those titles open up, who knows? Maybe he can push for a world title in his early 20s. I think beating the record of 21 may be a little bit ambitious.
I would like to see
Um,
him maybe fight Mukhmudov. Maybe if he gets the job done, which I'm sure he will. Maybe a Mukhmudov would be quite interesting. That wouldn't it?
that would be because I know Makhmudov didn't look too great in his last fight, but before that, he was supposedly a bit of a beast. So
He's still a good fighter, Mukhmudov,
he is
and
a
I
good
think it'll
fighter.
be a good fight, that one.
Yeah. So yeah, could possibly be a good fight. We'll see how Moses looks, but I think Moses will do the job.
Yeah. And what number fights this for I know it's his ninth fight. I mean, under Ben, what number fight is it for him? Because he
This
was
will be his
within.
first fight. This will be his first fight. Full. Was his first? No, it might be his second fight actually.
It's his second because I saw him when he
Yeah,
fought. I was at his last fight when he fought
yeah,
Dan
yeah.
Garber in May, and Ben was
Yeah,
in the corner then. So
second
maybe
fight.
second.
But I think this is his first full camp with Ben. I don't think he had a full camp with Ben for the last one, but I think this is his first full camp with Ben.
That makes it more interesting, sort of. But yeah,
Yeah,
we're both sitting around the sort of same round. You're saying fourth round. I'm saying inside three. If I had to pick a round, I'll say round three, but it will be done in the first three, maybe four if you're
yeah,
nice. But yes, we're both saying a Moses Atuma win. Yeah, how do you believe that he could compete with the likes of do you I wouldn't say, chuck him in with the top 10 just yet. I think, the sort of 20, top 25 sort of maybe a few fighters in there, but you don't need to rush him. He's now I'm testing myself again. He's what, how
yeah.
old is he? 19, 20 years
Nine,
old?
19, 19 he is, yeah.
19. But yeah, you don't need to rush him. Yes, you're chasing after that Mike Tyson record, would you say, sort of thing, of youngest
Yeah,
champion,
yeah.
but you
But
don't really need to yeah,
the
rush
things
it.
with it,
Take
yeah,
your
this, yeah,
time a bit.
things with heavyweights, with a lot of the other weights, they tend to peak sort of late 20s, whereas heavyweights tend to peak in their 30s. I look at the top heavyweights now. Tyson Fury's about, what is he, 35, 36 now. I think Joshua's about 34. All the top heavyweights seem to peak more late 30s. Moses is 19. He's still a baby. You don't want to rush him and throw him in and um, risk wasting this big talent. So I don't think chasing this record of being a young world champion is the be all and end all for Moses. I think they want to do a good job, and I know Ben would know this as well. So yeah, no one needs me to say it. And Frank Warren knows what he's doing. Ben knows what he's doing, and
Yeah.
they'll pick the right fights for him at the right time. And when he's good to go, then he'll be let off the leash. I find a lot of these top amateurs want to rush it when they turn over, but they need the rounds. Same with Moses; he's going to need valuable rounds, and as I said, I think he'll get that before he goes into those fights.
Yeah. So we both say, yeah, you're saying round four, and I'm saying in the side first three. Um,
Yeah,
Next fight, Isaac Lowe, v Hasbullah Ahmadi from Afghanistan, who's 16 and
yeah,
1, 10 rounds in the featherweight division. Yeah, talk about. I mean, of course, Isaac Lowe. He's 24, 2 and 3. His two defeats, coming to top fighters, Luis
mhm,
Alberto Lopez and Nick Ball. Nick Ball, I mean, a chat to have another day is, but Nick Ball should be the WBC, featherweight champion in my eyes and many people's eyes. But yeah,
yeah.
I think he got annihilated. Yeah, he got annihilated. Let's say in those two fights, it was he got. I just think it showed levels, sort of thing. Those
This is
two.
it. Isaac Lowe is a good fighter around maybe the European level. I think there's a big jump between European and world, and I think that showed in Isaac Lowe's fight. I don't know, Isaac Lowe's a good fighter.
He was meant to
I
fight
think,
Lee McGregor, wasn't he? I'm not sure
yeah,
what happened with that. What
it
and
was
who
meant
do
to
you
fight.
think would have won that if that would still happen?
It was meant to fight Lee McGregor. I think McGregor got injured, um, and that would have been an interesting fight. McGregor was coming up from super bantamweight. He would have been at featherweight. I know Lee McGregor well, done loads of sparring with him.
Yeah,
I think I think he would have eventually got to Isaac. I think featherweight would have suited Lee McGregor as well. He was a big boy at bantamweight, even a big boy at super bantamweight. So I think it would have been a good fight, but I do think McGregor would have overcome him. Isaac though, I think Isaac though does come through against his opponent this weekend. Can't pronounce the opponent's name, but I have sort of come across him before on my little box rec scrolls a few times. But yeah, I think Azarlo does gets the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, Isaac Lowe, he's came back from that Nick Ball defeat on the Fury white card against, journeyman. Um, and when you're at that sort of level, European, your British sort of scene, you don't really, I mean, you lose those fights, but you don't see many of them, going back to the journeyman. You see them fighting a decent operator, a combat fight that they should win sort of thing, but it's against a decent operator. Um, I mean, Singh Batty, Jonathan Santana, yeah, he's coming off 2 knockout wins, but if you look at who they're against, they're not, they're just journeymen. No disrespect to the journeyman because they're the backbone of the sport of boxing, as you and
100%.
I both know, and
Yeah.
um, you know, but yeah, I think when you're at that sort of level and you think you're approaching world level, you don't, if you get what I sort of mean, you don't sort of be going back to fight the journeyman sort of thing. But it's,
I get you, yeah. Like it's like you see a lot of these boys um box for international titles. Um and then because they get the ranking, they sort of skip British, Commonwealth, European level and defend the international title. Then they get a world title shot, have sort of skipped levels and then get splattered. Because they haven't had those right fights to build up to the world title fight.
yeah, I agree, mate. And but I don't. Again, Hasbulla. I think he's won a belt because I was looking at him quite. I was looking at him a few days ago. Seen a few clips of him. He's decent and he's game and he does get a bit wild at times. But sometimes you can't see one of those wild shots coming and they can catch you off guard sometimes.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
Lowe is a bit vulnerable at times. And I think I wouldn't say his record's padded because he's got a few decent wins on his name, but I don't think he'll be a world champion sort of thing as of yet. I mean, only if he starts improving and takes fight by fight. But I think he's still 4 fights away from that world level sort of thing. But I am expecting Isaac Lowe to get the job done this weekend. I can see a points win for Isaac Lowe this time out. Um, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, if he gets caught cold. Because this he might be a banana skin, this opponent, but I think Isaac Lowe should be too good for this opponent. But I'm saying low on points. I'm not gonna say yeah, I'll just say, I'm gonna say Isaac Lowe points. And did you say low
Yeah.
points as well, didn't you?
Low, as at low points, yeah.
Yeah, that's that one's 10 rounds that fight. What other fight? Oh yeah, so next we'll talk about a fight that's quite intriguing in my opinion, a good domestic sort of level fight between Mark Chamberlain the Joshua Wahab. That's for the
Yeah,
WBC silver lightweight title, which is
yeah,
currently vacant. I do like a good WBC silver title. It's a good little belt and you get some decent fights for them. Um
yeah.
yeah, but I like the fact that Turkey Al Sheikh has put Chamberlain on the card because I think you do need some upcoming, sort of British talent. And I like the fact, that Louis Green McGann was on the AJ thing and Chamberlain's been getting opportunities as well. So it is good that we're getting to see some of these upcoming British sort of next gen sort of level stars that are fighting on the cards. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, definitely. Turkey Al Sheikh comes across as like a proper big boxing fan where he's sort of just playing he's playing like a video game with it and just matching up wherever he can. As you say, it's good to get the up and comers on, because your Furies, your AJs, all your other boys are gonna be gone in about 2 years' time, and then you're gonna need these boys who are building up now. They're gonna be the big fights then. So he's building up nicely. With regards to Chamberlain and Wahab, it's a good fight. I think Wahab is going to come with some ambition. And I know Wahab has happened because his manager was the manager that I started my pro career with, Mickey
Oh yeah,
Amu.
yeah. I've yeah.
So So and I know Wahab pretty well.
And he's only lost to Dylan, who's a very good fighter.
Yeah, he gassed. I didn't really. Lee didn't really go on top of him towards the back end of that fight. Wahab will need to be a lot fitter in this fight to overcome Chamberlain. Um, I like Wahab. If I'm going to be honest, though, I think Chamberlain gets the job done in this one. I would like
Mm.
Wahab to prove me wrong. I generally would. But just being honest, I think Chamberlain gets the job done in this one. I think I'll go with a late stoppage. I think it's a bit of a firefight early, um, and then maybe Chamberlain gets to him a bit later on. But I'd love to be proved wrong on that.
What do
Obviously,
you
no
think?
personal feelings.
Yeah, 100%. What do you feel like Wahab needs to sort of do to get the job done?
It's a hard one because Chamberlain's tall, he's awkward. Um, I
He
think
likes
Wahab
keeping his shots long as well, Chamberlain.
he does. Yeah, Wahab's gonna have to find a way
And he
to.
broke Gavin Gwynn down, who Gavin Gwynn, as we all know, is a very tough operator and former British champion. No one
That's
really does that to Gavin Gwynn, and Mark Chamberlain really made a statement that night.
that's the thing. Wahab, I think for Wahab, he needs to really let Chamberlain feel his power early, get inside those long arms and really make Chamberlain react to what he's doing. But it is easier said than done.
Is it a matter of, just hoping fire with fire? I mean, I think maybe weight could play a factor in the fight. He's stepping up to lightweight.
Yeah,
I think Chamberlain, this is his comfortable weight. Apparently Chamberlain's got a big fight lined up in September. I'm not sure who that's against. Um, but yeah, I can expect another Chamberlain win. I'm thinking maybe around 5, when Wahab uh maybe overthrows, then gets caught with a shot of his own. I like Wahab and I think he's a good fighter, but I think super featherweight's his natural weight and he's comfortable at super feather. And I just think, coming up to this, fair play to him, but I think Chamberlain will be too much and catch him off guard and get a fifth round stoppage sort of thing in this fight. But it's going to be a lively fight, for I
very,
can't really see it
very
going the distance, but I think this will be a lively fight for however long it lasts.
yeah, very lively. I think especially the early rounds it could be a bit of a shootout. I'd say it would be around about 7 or 8. I reckon.
So you're saying a bit later, but yeah, you're
Yeah,
saying Chamberlain as well, 7 or 8, and I'm saying Mark
yeah,
Chamberlain round 5. Yeah, round 5, I'm gonna say with that one.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize I skipped this fight out. Sergey Kolarov. Oh yeah, moving on to
Kovalev,
the
yeah,
next fight. Sorry, Sergey Kolarov v Robin Safar, Sergey's 35-4 with one draw, and Safar is 16-0. Yeah, an unbeaten fighter. 10 rounds in the cruiserweight division. I'll let you talk about this one first.
yeah. I used to love watching Sergey Kovalev back in the day. I used to absolutely love watching him. Seems to he's an older man now, um, but I think the move up in weight has given him a bit of a lease of life. I haven't seen much of his opponent, if I'm honest, but I think you got to be a good man to beat Sergey Kovalev, even in his older, advanced age. Um, can't really predict it. Don't really know much of the opponent. I'd actually say Sergey Kovalev do it because I was a fan of his coming up, but can't predict that one really.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, mate. I mean, I don't think it was going to be a great fight to watch. I think, Kolorev, however you say his name. I'm not great with names. Sorry, I apologize.
That's right.
But I think he's coming to the back end of his career. Was he semi-retired after that Canelo fight, do you know?
He did go missing for a little bit.
Or
And
was
I
that
do know
because
there's
of the pandemic?
maybe I know that there's rumors that he likes his drink a little bit. So has he been living the life? Who knows? Um, but yeah, for me, it depends on how much life is left in the old dog, so to speak.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, his last fight was 2022, and that was against Turnbull Pulev, one unanimous decision. But this Robin, on the other hand, 16-0. He fought in 2023. He's coming off 3 knockouts, and he's got the 12 knockouts out of his 16 fights. I mean, I think it's hard to predict, as you don't know how much Kolorev is in it, sort of thing. In my opinion, it will be a bit of a slow sort of pace, sort of fight. Yeah, slow sort of pace fight. If I'm honest, I might see an upset with this one. With Sapphire might beat him on points, so I'm going to say Sapphire on points with this. But again, it's just who does that little bit more in this sort of fight.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I would say Sapphire on points, just, because I can say, if he, I'm not too sure, and I think I'm sort of 50-50, but what I could say if Safar wins, that I told you all when everyone was going against him. But, yeah. And we do see some upsets on this Saudi card. So, really, I was either saying Isaac Lowe or this fight. I'll go with the Safar fight due to the fact that Collar, he's been inactive and you don't know how long he's got left. You know what I mean?
This is it. Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
yeah. So, are you saying Kolorev or?
I don't know. I'm going to sit on the fence in this one. Don't know enough about the other guy.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Um, yeah. The next fight is a fight that I'm really looking forward to personally. Ajak Canabayel v Frank Sanchez, 24
Good
and 0
fight.
v 24 and 0.
Good fight.
Excited for this one? Are you, mate? Are you excited for this one as well?
Yeah, good fight. I mean, Caballero was sort of, as you were talking about upsets earlier, and Caballero was the guy that was meant to give Makhmudov a test, but eventually get stopped, and you went in and bad Caballero. You went in and bad Makhmudov. And I remember Caballero from years ago when he beat Derek Chisora
But he beat him
in Monaco.
twice, didn't he?
And I think he only boxed him once. That was in Monaco. So I remember that fight. I remember that fight as well. Um, and Frank Sanchez, heard a lot about him, not seen a lot of him. This is a really close fight.
He's coming off a win against Junior Farr. That was on the day of
Yeah,
reckoning, and he
it
beat
was. Yeah,
Agjib Agjigba
yeah.
by
FA Jagba,
decision.
yeah. FA Jagba, yeah.
Agjagba,
Um,
that's it. Yeah, he beat him
um,
as well on the Fury Wilder card.
good.
So
Yeah, it's
he
a
gets on
very
these.
good fight. I'm leaning towards Sanchez actually on points. I am leaning towards
Hmm.
Sanchez, but it's gonna be close.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I'm gonna.
I think Sanchez, needs to get on his boxing. I think Makhmudov, I think Canabayel, really damaged the body of Makhmudov as well. He sort of a good body puncher is Canabayel. And yeah, I'm edging towards Canabayel on this one. I mean, again, Canabayel sort of. I'm not sure how old he is, but Frank Sanchez is the younger of the two. Frank Sanchez might get an early lead of the fight, but I think Canabayel will get to him eventually, as he's quite strong, he's durable, he's tough, Canabayel, and I just think he'll get to him.
Yeah,
And I think he
he,
might
he-
stop him late on the fight, when people were saying Sanchez is, Sanchez will start quite quickly and get a quick lead. But I think, oh, it's 12 rounds this fight, it says it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. I thought it was 10. But yeah, my prediction didn't hasn't changed. I'm still saying the same round, and I'm gonna go with a around 8. TKO to Canabayel. I think he'll do him with one of those body shots that he did with Makhmudov, but another one where you can just toss the coin and um
There we go.
sort
Yeah,
of fight.
great.
But I'm gonna go with Canabayel with this one by 8th round.
Yeah, yeah. I'll lean towards Sanchez on points, but close fight could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if it goes points, I would favour Frank Sanchez, but if it's a knockout, I would favour Canabayel. But yeah, I mean, Frank Sanchez can punch uh, as well. But yeah, I think Sanchez needs to try and box this fight. But yeah,
Yeah,
who should we talk about? I think we'll talk about Joe Cordina, 17 and OV, and Anthony
you got
Kakachi.
yeah.
for the super featherweight IBF world title that Joe Cordina has, and the IBO world title which Anthony Kakachi currently holds.
Good fight, yeah. Kachi's been crying out for an opportunity for ages. He's sort of been the guy in the Who Needs Him club. No one's really wanted to give him the opportunity. He gets an opportunity now, so we're going to get the best of Anthony Kakachi now. A lot of factors go into this fight, such as how much does Joe Cordina struggle at the weight. He didn't look amazing in his last fight, if I'm honest.
Well, against Vasquez.
Again, it was Vasquez. Yeah, I don't think Joe Cordina looked amazing. I think he's had better days than that fight. But I think we're going to get the best version of Cordina here. We're going to get the best version of Kakachi here. I think it's going to be competitive. I think Cordina is going to win on points, though, on this one. I think it's going to be very competitive.
I agree, mate. I think Cordina's had better days, but it was a great fight to watch from a fan's point of view. But, you know, the fights beforehand with the Agawa fight where he knocked him out, that was a brutal knockout, to say the least. And that Rakhimov fight, I believe is how you say his name, Rakhimov.
Great fight, yep, great fight.
That was a very good fight, that one. I remember watching that. Can't remember, it was, but I think it was April last year, I would say. But yeah, I think Cordina will turn up, so will Kakachi. I think Kakachi's got a bit of a sort of point to prove. You know, people say the IBO's not they don't really rate the IBO. But, you know, at the end of the day, IBO world title, as it says, yes, it's, you know, probably the least sort of world title, you know, in the order. But a world title's a world title at the end of the day. I think Kakachi's got a bit to prove. I think Cordina will be too good for him with his jab. I just think it'll be a matter of, I wouldn't say levels, but I think Cordina will be too sharp for him, sort of thing. Bit too quick.
I agree.
And
I agree, yep.
Kakachi's good, but I just think Cordina's a bit like there and Kakachi's sort of there, sort of thing. But I may be wrong and people might clip me, and, you know, I've had that before where people go, you said that, you know what I mean?
It is what it is.
It is
Can't
what
get
it
them all right,
is.
can you? Yep.
Yeah, we can't get them all right, but if this one, I'm gonna say Cordina on unanimous decision, but Kakachi will have a little bit of success in the mid rounds where people think he might start to take over, but I think Cordina, you know, might have a few 2 or 3 rounds off, and then I think he'll come on, you know, and beat him on unanimous decision with this one.
Yeah, I agree, yep.
But yeah, the next fight is a rematch. It's for the IBO, not the IBO, the IBF
IBF, sorry, yeah.
the IBF world title, world cruiserweight title. Jaya Pataya, 24-0. The Marius Bradus, who's 28-2. Of course, Opataya, last time out we saw him knock out Ellis Zorro. And he beat Thompson as well. No disrespect to Zorro and Thompson, because I like them both, and they're both good, solid operators. But, you know, they're sort of British sort of level. I wouldn't say, but, you know, fair play to him to coming into the Lions Den and knocking both of them out, because they're decent level opponents. And of course Zorro's fighting for the British next week. But yeah, and Breeders as well. 28-2, you know, only lost to Usyk and Jai Opataya, so, you know, no shame in that. I mean, Usyk, you know, we'll get onto him in a minute, but, you know, no shame in that. And Opataya, of course, no shame in that. And, of course, he's got a few good wins against, you know, Klawacki, Mike Perez. He's got a few good wins, Arthur Man. But the thing is with him is he's been waiting for this Opataya rematch. He lost to him in 22. He should have, you know, instead of waiting, you know, take fights, you know. You don't need to wait for one fight. Yes, I know it stings, you know, when you lose to someone and, you know, you want to revenge that defeat, you know, straight off the bat, as you would understand. But it's not how it goes in boxing sometimes. You don't always get that immediate rematch that you always wanted. And Jai Opetaia, I believe he won the Ring Magazine. Yeah, beat Thompson. He's beaten Zorro, Breeders, Russell. He's Mark Flanagan. He's coming up well, Opetaia, and he's, in my opinion, personally, he's number one in the cruiserweight scene.
Yeah,
No disrespect to, Billam Smith, Riakpor, and the other ones at that level. But I just think Opetaia's a beast, really. I think he's come on leaps and bounds since that Breeders' last fight. I think it helps Opetaia in this fight that he's been active.
yeah,
He's got. I don't think he'll blow them out. I don't think he'll blow Breeders out early because we know how tough Breeders is, and Breeders had a very good fight with Usyk. Yes, that was a few years ago, and Oleksandr Usyk has improved, and so does Breeders, in my opinion. But I think Breeders, has got a sort of point to prove because if he loses to Opetaia this Saturday, it will be a long way back. You know what I mean?
I agree. As you mentioned, both the fights with Breeders were very close. With Usyk, very very close. That fight was in a balance, really. Like that one could have went sort of either way. Usyk just pulled it out in the last round,
Who did
and with
you
this
have
fight,
with that fight? Because I thought Usyk won by 2 rounds, but I thought it was
I,
quite close.
yeah, I thought Usyk won as well. I think the scorecards were just about right. It was a close fight, but Usyk did win. Um, the Opetaia fight with Breeders was the first one, so it was a bit of a war. Um, and that's where Opetaia got his broken jaw from. But as you mentioned, a lot of questions to be answered with Breed's age plus the inactivity. And I think since then, Opetaia has become a better fighter as well with his activity. I'm going to go with Opetaia on points again, but not as much of a firefight as the first one, not as competitive as the first one, not as close to the first one. I think Breeze will have his moments, but I think Opetaia wins a clear decision in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see. Yes, we all like an early knockout and we like the finishes, but I would like to see, Jai maybe try and box and see what his boxing ability is. Uh, Breeders, I'd see how what he's got left, but I can see, eventually Jai Opetaia will break Breeders down and stop him late on. I think, it's
Yeah,
no, it won't be easy. Breeders will be tough and he'll be really up for this as it's probably his last sort of big crack at the big time. And yeah, I think Opetaia forces a late stoppage in round 10, and I just think Opetaia is quite a bit above the world level cruiserweights at the minute. And I think
yeah,
hopefully one day we'll see him step up to heavyweight and we can get some of these big fights because I think he'll be right in the mix with some of these these good heavyweights. And yeah, I'm gonna say Jai round number 10. I don't think he'll be. He might. I mean, he might knock out Breeders. Like he might knock him out cold, or probably will get stopped on the feet. But either way, round 10 for Jai Opetaia.
lovely. Yeah,
And yes, the main one people were tuning in for. But I think personally you should tune in right from the start of the bell,
good show. Yeah,
as it's quite a good card in my opinion. But yes, the big one, Oleksandr Usyk, 21-0. Last time out beating Daniel Dubois, I think it was. Yes, it was.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
And Tyson Fury, 34 and 1. One being a draw.
yeah, 34-0-1. Yeah,
And of course he beat Ngannou last time out. It's for the IBF, IBO, WBA, WBC, and WBO World Heavyweight titles. So pretty much all of the marbles
all the
are up for
marbles. Yeah,
grabs. Apart from
all the marbles.
the
Yeah.
um forgot forgot what belt, but there's one that's not on the line.
I think they're all there. I think even the rings on it as well.
The Ring Magazine, yeah, that's on. But I thought that AJ is going to fight the winner of
No, so the issue with that is that's for the IBF, but the IBF isn't aligned for this. But what's happened is the IBF have called a mandatory with Hergovich. So this fight is allowed to have the IBF on, but afterwards they're going to call the mandatory and they're gonna rematch. So they're gonna vacate the IBF after this fight, and they're gonna get the IBF on the line for Hrgovic versus Dubois.
Oh,
So, they,
okay. I
so
didn't know
they're gonna
that. So
yeah they're gonna strip the winner essentially.
yeah. Even though I don't think that should work like that, but
No,
but,
it's
but anyway,
mad old game, isn't it?
it is indeed, mate. But yeah, talk about this fight. I'll let you sort of talk about it first. Of course, Fury's yeah. What was your thoughts on Fury's last fight against Francis Ngannou?
You can't sugarcoat it. He was awful against Francis Ngannou. Don't get me wrong, Ngannou was better than I expected, but for being the heavyweight champion of the world, you should have disposed of him the same way AJ disposed of him. Yeah, so I think he would admit that on that night
There
he
was a
wasn't
lot
good
of
at all.
waiting in that fight, like waiting for each other to come to each other, sort of thing. There was a lot of waiting, waiting to see who makes the first sort of move. It was a sort of irritating fight to watch from a fan's point of view,
Yeah,
apart from, when Ngannou knocked him down. I thought Fury, the first, I think it was first two, I thought Fury was in cruise control. I think he was just going to toy with him. Then he knocked. What made the fight interesting, in my opinion, is when Ngannou put him down. That's what got me excited to watch because I was expecting
this
it to be a whitewash. Let's be completely fair.
this
No
is
one
it.
expected
Yeah,
that. I think Ngannou was utterly robbed in that fight. But I knew, going into that Anthony Joshua fight that I saw the weaknesses in that fight with Fury, and I said AJ would beat him in 6. Of course, he done him in 2, which I basically
yeah,
said. I basically called how the fight was going to go. There was a lot of waiting. AJ, wasn't waiting. He just fully put it on him, and that's what you was meant to do. I think, Fury, let's be honest, he probably didn't take that camp very seriously for, oh, it should be an easy night's work. That, and
yeah,
it gives him a bit of a wake-up call sort of thing. You can't write off anyone in
yeah.
boxing,
He
especially
probably
in the
did.
heavyweights.
Yeah.
But well, anyway, you know what I mean. Anyway, you can't write anyone off. But yeah, and Usyk, people are saying well, it is sort of controversial, the whole thing with Daniel Dynamite Dubois. Um, yeah, what was your opinions on that? Do you think that was a low blow, or do you think it was a legal shot?
You see, this is the thing. It was borderline. It depends on what the ref calls before the fight. I don't know what the ref called for that. If the ref said, "Here's a belt line," I will call this. Then, um, then it all just depends on what the ref said. I don't think I can't remember what the ref said before the fight. I
What did
do
the ref
think
say when you was in there? What did the ref say was a low blow?
so. You see, when you go to the center and you touch gloves before a fight, the ref will tell you explicitly what he'll call a low blow and what he'll allow.
Because sometimes refs have different opinions about the low blow sort of
Yeah.
thing.
So yes, that's what they tell you just as you're touching gloves. So they look at your shorts, see how high your shorts are. If they think your shorts are a little bit high, then they'll accept punches on the belt. Whereas if they think your shorts are a little bit lower, then they won't accept punches on the belt. So it's down to ref discretion, but they should make that clear before the fight. I can't remember what the ref said before that specific fight.
I might have to
Usyk
try
did,
and watch that start thing back. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And try and have a
yeah.
look.
Usyk did milk it, but he knew he was going to get away with it. I think if the ref started counting,
I
he
reckon
would have
he
got.
might have
Yeah,
got back up though if he started
he
counting,
would
but
have.
he didn't
This is it.
count.
Is if the ref counted, Usyk would have got up. Because the ref called it a low blow, Usyk milked the hell out of it. Um,
He took his time.
so 100%. Yeah. Outside of that, he done the
Usyk
job on
was in
Dubar.
control, in my opinion. Other than that,
Yeah. Outside of that, Usyk done the job on Dubar.
and he
If I'm
beat AJ as well twice.
beat AJ twice, yep. I think if I'm looking at this fight, my prediction has changed so many times for this fight. So what I give is not going to be a confident prediction.
He'll probably
I,
change tomorrow.
this is the thing, yeah, it's changed so many times. I wouldn't be shocked if Usyk goes in and picks Fury to pieces. Um, but I think Fury's just gonna nick it on points. I think Usyk's gonna bamboozle him early. Um, I think Fury's gonna be as awkward as possible. Uses weight
Reach.
in spots. Yeah, weight and reach in spots. I think
Do you
Fury's
think
just gonna
Fury
nick it on
should try
points.
and put the pressure on him?
I think is though, if I think he's got to approach it correctly. If he comes in just to purely put the weight on him, Usyk's going to figure that out.
And
Fury's got to
uses
use that.
and he uses his
Yeah,
ring
use that
IQ and
IQ.
his
Yeah,
movement and
Fury,
his fast punches in and
yeah,
out.
Fury's got to use his weight, but he's got to do it in spots. He's going to be awkward in spots, use his weight in spots, so Usyk can't sort of figure out what he's doing.
Fury struggles with these smaller opponents. I think there'll be
This
lots
is
of
it.
Usyk's work, a bit of two shots thrown, then sort of move. But some people are saying he might stand and trade, but I disagree. I think Usyk, he can't get silly with the fight with the bigger man. He beat AJ and he boxed a smart fight against AJ and Dubois pretty much as well. Sort of, get your shots done, get out of there, move, and sort of use your footwork and your head movement to the best of your ability. As Tyson struggles with the shorter fighter.
Yeah, yeah, Usyk won't trade him. I think Usyk at times might try and not not trade with him, but I think he might try and stand his ground just a little bit, where he'll sort of try and keep it, try and work in little circles in the center of the ring, but he's as I said, working in circles. He's gonna keep some sort of movement or feinting going all the time. It's a good fight though. Tough to predict. I'll go with Fury on point, very close.
So you're saying Fury on points? I can imagine that will probably be a split decision.
Yeah, it depends on what the
You
judges think.
saying?
Might be like unanimous by a point or majority or split.
Oh, you
Yeah, it
don't
could
know with
be.
these judges, mate. I'll tell you that.
That's the thing. You never know with the judges. So yeah, but I
Hopefully
think
they've got their eyes on this fight. I mean, the whole world's watching, and this is a fight where you can't. Well, every fight you can't make these mistakes, but you know what I mean. But I'm
yeah,
saying I'm going the opposite way to you. So I'm glad that we've disagreed on a few fights, because if we agree on
yeah.
everything, then it's a bit boring sort of thing. But
No,
yeah,
I
I'm
get
glad
you.
we've disagreed with a few fights. Yeah, so I'm saying Oleksandr Usyk via split decision. It will be good. It'll be a great fight, and hopefully they call it right, and that's and hopefully
That's the main thing.
Usyk gets the job done. I believe Usyk will win split decision, and you're going with Fury split decision. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going. Yeah, I'm going with Fury on points, but either way, won't shock me. Anything could happen this fight.
yeah. I'm cheering for Usyk as, but yeah, I'm cheering for Usyk in this fight. Yeah, let us know what you guys think, and thank you, Rames, for coming on as always, and yeah,
No worries, mate.
enjoy the show on Saturday, mate. Thank you for
And
joining
you.
me. Bye,
See ya,
mate.
mate. Bye.